If you make a list of ambitious New Year's resolutions and find yourself binge-watching Netflix all day long in March, you're not alone. In fact, 20% of people quit their goals by the end of the first week and 40% quit by the end of the first month. So are we all just lazy procrastinators who are doomed to never achieve their goals? Hi, my name is Anna, and for about 7 years, since I first discovered the concept of goal setting, I would write my goals on a beautiful piece of paper, and that beautiful piece of paper was thrown away at the end of the year with 0 goals accomplished and followed by the sense of disappointment, self-hate, and failure. It was only when I got interested in human psychology, and specifically in human cognition and neuroscience, that I realized that the way we are taught to set goals does indeed set us up for a failure, because it was barely designed around human psychology. Last year, I completely changed the way I approach and set goals, and oh magic, it's 2 months until the new year, and all my goals are pretty much accomplished, and so far it has been the most fulfilling and happy year of my life. So in this video, I'm gonna share the key science-backed hacks that help me to break the cycle, and let's jump right into it. Trick number 1, minimize your goals. We suffer from the thing called paradox of choice. The more choices we have, the more difficult it is for us to make the decision. Goals work the same. The more goals you have, the less likely you are to achieve any. If you have too many goals, it means you lack clarity on what's important to you. It's recommended to have no more than 3 major goals at a time. I set myself 3 goals for the last year. According to those 3 yearly goals, I also had 3 monthly goals each month and 3 weekly goals each week. This allowed me to allocate my resources to my priorities. When choosing those 3 goals, be very honest with yourself. If you have 20 goals, only 3 of them are actually going to make a significant change in your life. The other 17 are going to be your biggest distraction. Trick number 2. This was a complete game changer for me. Learn the difference between long-term and short-term goals. You can divide all goals in 2 categories. The first one is the big picture. Those are connected to your values and life direction. The second one is pretty much smaller steps toward those big goals. I used to set all my goals very specifically. They used to be SMART goals, and oh boy, that was horrible. I would recommend approaching those 2 goal categories completely differently. The further it is in the future, the more flexible and vague the goal should be. The closer it is to now, the more specific it should be, almost as an action plan. Treat your big goal as a direction, as compass to guide your smaller steps towards that goal. Number 3, break down all your goals into smaller milestones. The problem is that people don't see and don't feel the future. We do not identify with that future self. It's basically a stranger for us. So in the present, we do not bother to work hard to make that future self happy. There was a very interesting study then. People were asked to imagine themselves now and in the future, as well as imagine a stranger right now and the stranger in the future. Interestingly, the brain activity when people imagine themselves in the future was almost identical to the brain activity when imagining a stranger. It had little to do with self-image. People were also divided in 2 groups, and the first group were shown an image of themselves in the future. Scientists came back to those people a couple of years later and found that people who were shown the image contributed almost double amount into their savings account for retirement compared to those who weren't shown the image. One thing to take away from this study is the less distance in the future your goal is, the more you identify and sympathize with that person, which means you will put more effort to make that not so far in the future person happy. Number 4. Show up daily. Setting goals and planning is amazing, but without someone actually doing the work, you will stay in the same place. This year, one of my goals was to learn UX, and I did a daily UI challenge for 60 days. In only 2 months, I was able to build a very strong foundation. I, by the way, have a video on my channel about it, so if you're interested how daily habits form your goals, I would highly recommend watching this video. Showing up and doing the work is pretty much the only way you can achieve your goals. There was one very odd thing that I did that helped me show up every day and actually build a long-lasting effect. I treated all my goals, all my plans as a promise to a kid. When I didn't want to do my 1 hour of UX, I would imagine that this hour of UX is the most important baseball game of this kid I really care about. And if I don't show up and if I don't watch the game, I will be the biggest piece of poop on this planet. It worked magic, and I only later realized why. This thing combines a bunch of psychological triggers. First, remember the retirement savings experiment? We work harder for those we sympathize with, while a kid is a perfect subject for sympathy. Second, it triggers accountability. If you promise something to someone very, very important, you just cannot let them down. And third, probably the most powerful, it triggers your failure visualization. Humans excel in avoiding scary things. Visualizing failure will get you further than visualizing success. A rabbit will run much faster from a fox than it would run to get the carrot. We're talking about healthy exposure to failure. We're not talking about self-hate. You can think about yourself as a kid, your future kids, your parents, partners, someone who is very, very, very important to you. And the last one, number 5, is regular reevaluation. Goals should be dynamic, they should grow with you. Review your progress and discoveries you've made along the way regularly to see how you feel about things and what to adjust. On top of that, the whole goal achievement process is tied to motivation, and motivation comes from the release of dopamine. There was a famous study done on rats. 2 rats were put in 2 boxes. Each box had food in it. In this case, food is our reward or our goal. The first rat was normal. For the second rat, the dopamine release was blocked in the brain. Brain scans showed that both rats enjoyed the food, but the second rat wouldn't move even slightly to get the food, even it was an inch away. The second rat only ate when was fed. Without dopamine, the second rat lost the ability to pursue goals. When you review and see how much progress you've made, it triggers dopamine and it keeps you at the optimal level of motivation to keep going. By reviewing, you can create those regulated dopamine spikes, which will trigger motivation that will keep you going. I would personally recommend reviewing every single week, but the most important thing that you need to have a strict schedule, so pick whatever time frame works for you. And to sum up everything I've said today, let's listen to this amazing hiker example I came up with. Imagine you're a lifelong hiker and the North fascinates you, so you decide to explore that mountain area. You can't climb all the mountains at once, so you decide to climb 1 mountain per year. 12 months is a lot of time and it's easy to get lost, but you're a smart hiker, so you decide that you will create a vague plan for the whole year and you will only bother creating very detailed plans only when the time comes. You wake up each day and you continue hiking the distance you need to go that day. You sit down once in a while and you check with your map, you check where you should be, and you adjust your plan due to weather conditions and how you feel. And just like that, you climb the mountain. You will enjoy the most magnificent views on the way and on the top of the mountain. And with all that experience and knowledge, you will set off for the new adventure, for the new mountain. One thing that I want to mention is please remember to experience every single day of your life and every single step of the process. Do not tie your happiness to goals. The point of hiking is to enjoy the views. I highly doubt that anyone would enjoy hiking blindfolded. If you don't bother noticing your days, you will die with half of your life not lived. And I want to remind you that every single hike is unique and every single hiker is unique. And I want you to know that you are capable. I am proud of you and I believe in you. Thank you so much for being here. Stay curious and see you soon. Neuroscience. Neuroscience.